All right. I guess I don't have time to ask you any questions, Supa, as the game has started. But here we go. It is going to be played out on a grand arena.
Is that Kappa or is this the sub-in?
I believe this is a sub-in. I'm not 100% sure, but Kitsa Toxic running that Holy Paladin Jungle Cleave once again, going up against Scout's Honor on that Feral Mage Holy Paladin, that FMP. It's a battle of the Feral Druids here in the semifinals, and the gates have opened.
Best cat win.
Best cat win.
Yep.
Sam I am already getting those icicles right away. SSDS coming out of that camouflage, starting to unload on this Frost Mage. But now Beanslayer coming out. He's going to pounce up SSD, but now Cinco is going to pounce up Beanslayer. The pounces are real, even though it's really a rake now. The Polymorph's going to land on the SSD. Cinco, the Feral Druid's going to get bashed up. Beanslayer taking a bit of damage, but he's going to catch that Hand of Sacrifice from his Holy Paladin. It's just going to prevent a lot of that damage. Beanslayer's still the kill target for now, but both teams kind of just looking to make their move. Sam I am caught into that DR Cyclone. Not going to do all that much. Beanslayer getting locked out of his clone, but the Polymorph is going to land on a kill again, and Sikio dipping down to 40% health here. He does have that Incarnation up. He wants to get offensive with it, but he just can't really make anything happen. He's going to catch that Execution Sentence, which is going to top him right up, but the Roar Sacrifice is going to fade. But now Beanslayer on the back foot, wow, taking a whole bunch of damage. Crow's coming out as well, Saved by the Light proccing, and that was also his Survival Instincts as well. So these teams trading cooldown for cooldown. It's just a big battle between these two teams. Now, the Survival Instincts coming out from Sinkio, dipping down to 70% health here. He's going to trinket out of that, though.
Beanslayer popping the Incarnation, taking Psycho down to 50%. The last Polymorph onto Cade Gillen. He's going to Ore Mastery out of the Frostjaw. Psycho in a lot of trouble, trying to put some counter pressure on a Beanslayer, actually forcing him into Bear. He's got Heart of the Wild up. He's still getting crushed through it, down to 20%, gets cloned up, and they're looking to rotate that clone over. Psycho pushing in. He's going to get deep frozen, though, to deny that Cyclone. SSDS getting polyed. Beanslayer is going to get bopped to give him a little bit of extra protection here and immune the interrupt so he can clone Psycho and get topped off by Versace. Beanslayer with 1 Survival Instincts left, Beanslayer with none left, and Psycho with 1 remaining. Definitely the advantage to Psycho in this position. They need to land some crowd control into Versace. There's the full Hodge. He's going to knock him into the room here. Sam I am looking to try and eat the trap, and he eats the trap off of Versace, denying all that CC. SSDS now trying to go for a Wyvern Sting. He's going to land the Wyvern. Beanslayer is going to be able to dispel that, but the full clone was landed, forcing the trinket out from Versace. Now the Deep Freeze onto K. Gillen, looking for the Frostjaw out of that with a Hodge on the SSDS for cross CC. Sam I am trying to get a poly. He gets locked out on it. He's going to trinket out of the clone. Beanslayer landing a clone, making a turnaround onto Psycho. He's got no trinket in that bash. Down to 30%. K. Gillen is going to trinket out of that. Pop the Avenging Wrath, top him off, and now try to make a turnaround onto Beanslayer. But they need some CC onto Versace. There's the full Hodge. SSDS looking to land the trap. He knocks Sam I am away. He snags the full trap. No trinket available. He might have to bubble out of this. Beanslayer's in trouble.
He absolutely is. Sinkio caught into that Cyclone, though. It's going to stop a lot of the damage. The Saved by the Light's going to pop on the Beanslayer. Versace going to go ahead and use that Wings to keep Beanslayer up. Beanslayer looks like he's going to be A-okay for now, but for how much longer? The Polymorph is going to land on a kill again. Sinkio now dipping down to 70% health here. He does not have a Survival Instincts available to them just yet, but it looks like Killigan's doing a great job keeping up regardless, but the CC just doesn't end. Beanslayer now dipping down to 30% health here. The trap's going to land on the Versace as well. Beanslayer still catching that Hand of Protection. He's going to get caught by that, Execution Sentence is going to top him right off. Beanslayer now looking to land those Cyclones. He's going to get locked out, but Killigan caught into that Deep Freeze, into the full Polymorph. Sinkio now on the back foot, dipping down to 40% health here, but that Survival Instincts is going to come out from him, reducing a lot of damage, but it's going to get cloned up, actually. He's cloning the Survival Instincts, keeping him low. Killigan now being put in the DR Frostjaw. The CC is no longer available. As I say that, the full Cyclone lands. Sinkio could be in some trouble. The DR Bash comes out. It's going to be trinketed instantly. The Saved by the Light's going to proc, and the Execution Sentence is going to come out. He's going to be completely fine for that, but both teams just trading cooldown for cooldown.
Weird. The SSDS actually chose to Wyvern Sting Sam-I-M there. It's going to get dispelled by Beanslayer. Hodge on SSDS. He's going to trinket out of that, but there's a full polymorph landed on Decay Gillen. Psycho getting chased after by Beanslayer into the rake stun, down to 50% HP. He doesn't have a Save by the Light proc. K Gillen has to bubble. Is that going to be enough? He bops him. They spell steal the bop off. In the meantime, a full trap is landed onto Versace. Murder of Crows up on the Beanslayer. Incarnation from both teams coming out. Beanslayer, though, taking the brunt of it. Down to 50%. Down to 30%. Versace in that Hodge. Psycho goes in for the half bash, looking to land a full clone here. He gets typhooned by Beanslayer. He's not going to be able to land that full clone to secure the kill. Versace pops the Avenging Wrath, now throws a Hodge onto SSDS. Poly onto K Gillen, 3v1 onto Psycho in the center of the map. They need a little bit more damage to push him over, though. Still at 50%. K Gillen into the last polymorph. Now into the Deep Freeze. Comet Storm comes in onto Psycho. K Gillen trinkets out of the full clone. Saved by the Light's going to proc. He's going to be able to top him off, but K Gillen with no bubble and no trinket is looking very scared.
Absolutely. Psycho did a fantastic job holding on to that survival instincts there. It just came off a cooldown and the pressure was there, but he kept his cool and tried to be frugal with his defensive, and it may pay off later. Beanslayer now dipping down to 50% health here. The Aura Mastery coming out for Versace should be all he needs to keep up his Feral Druid for now. Whoa, the Deep Freeze is going to land. Sikio dipping lower and lower, and there he goes. He will go down to that damage. Kitsa Toxic is going to fall here in the first game of this best of 5 series against Scout's Honor. And being frugal with that survival instincts just was not enough there. And Scout's Honor looking very strong here in the first game of this best of 5. Taking a quick look at that replay, you could see the setup as the Hodge goes out into the DR Bash and the Deep Freeze also onto his healer at the same time. And that's all she wrote, really just exhausting the defensive cooldowns of Killigan.
K Gillen?
K Gillen?
KG Illen?
I'm just going to call him KG. Know what I'm saying? Alright, I'll give you guys a quick look at that scoreboard before jumping into the next series here. Alright, let's jump into it, guys. Alright, Kids of Toxic apparently does need a minute. K Gillen is actually a replacement for Kappa, by the way, guys. It is not an alt of his, it is a sub-in. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that Scout's Honor will be playing the same composition as they are the winner of the first game. I do have to announce what composition the loser will be facing. And then the loser of each round has the opportunity to change their composition up according to what the winner of the last round chooses. So the loser not only gets that map choice, but also a composition choice if it's available. Which is pretty cool, I might add. I like this. Alright, the next map that's going to be chosen by Kids of Toxic is going to be on Dalaran Sewers. Here we go, guys. I'll see you in there in just one hot minute. Alright, welcome to Dalaran Sewers. It's Kids of Toxic going up against Scout's Honor here. That Jungle Cleave versus the FMP. Game number 2 on a much smaller map. Now, is this actually going to give an advantage to the Jungle Cleave, Supa? What do you think is going to happen here?
I'm not really sure if any map is really favorable. I mean, SSDS is going to be able to use Explosive Trap a lot more and knock Versace into weird line of sight pass, but the short map is going to allow Psycho to run away, but it's also going to allow Beanslayer to run away, so it kind of backfires on both sense of that. So I don't know if map choice really will mean too much here. Scout's Honor just getting ahead on cooldowns. Versace had his trinket and bubble at the end of that game, while K Gillen had nothing left. Already early on, Sam-I-M building up his icicles off of SSDS, who is also building up some damage onto Sam-I-M, loading up those stacks. The magic stacks from his set bonus is what I meant to say, a survival. So he's going to have a lot of damage here early on. Beanslayer and Psycho both know that they're the primary targets and are remaining vigilant to not be pulled out of stealth, playing very far back from each other. Not too much is going to be happening just yet. SSDS trying to kill the water elemental, actually ooming Versace a bit, already down to 75% mana. K. Gillen also at 85, and this is a bit of a strange start. Both Feral Druids don't want to give the opposing cat, the opener, some class envy as they are all hiding in stealth. Beanslayer almost getting flared out. He's going to manage to LOS it and get away from it. Versace just spam healing the water elemental because that's all SSDS seems primed to kill. And until one of these Feral Druids gets popped out of stealth, not too much is going to happen. Beanslayer making the first move, going to stun SSDS, immediately goes into bear form knowing that Psycho is going to open. Psycho opens with a pounce looking for a clone. He gets counterspelled on it. He's not going to be able to land the clone.
And a sacrifice going out, but is it gonna matter? The bash on the Sikio, the deep on the K. Gillen into the full polymorph. Sikio's gonna get actually cloned up though, but that might have been a misplay. Psycho is currently vulnerable, but the DR polymorph's going to come out into another DR polymorph. Psycho dipping down to 30% health here. He's going to get caught by that Avenging Wrath execution sentence. Going to top Psycho right up here, but now the Cyclone swapping over onto Sam-I-Am. Sam-I-Am does have those 5 icicles ready to pounce. Beanslayer now taking a bit of the damage from this jungle cleave now. Psycho, both Feral Druids seem to be the kill target on either team. K. Gillen still has that Avenging Wrath, keeping his team very, very offensive. The Deep Freeze is going to land onto him though. Psycho looking to get that Deep Freeze, or that Cyclone. He just can't land it. K. Gillen going to be put into that full polymorph. Psycho dipping down to 50% health, but in the backside, Beanslayer dipping down to 50% health. Both teams are just pushing the damage onto each other's Feral Druid. Versace finally coming out of that Cyclone, going to catch a big execution sentence onto Beanslayer. K. Gillen is having a hell of a time keeping up Psycho though, as he is at 45% health here, and he's going to get cloned up at low health.
Yeah, Beanslayer looking to try and rotate some CC over onto K. Gillen. The Deep Freeze going to land out from Sam-I-Am, looking for the full polymorph. They're going to land at K. Gillen. Bubbles immediately, realizing that Psycho is in a lot of trouble here. Beanslayer using the Incarnation, still outputting in quite a bit of damage. The bubble is going to fade here. Beanslayer caught into a half-hodge. The Murder of Crows gets bopped off immediately by Versace, realizing how much burst was actually coming in. And now Beanslayer capitalizing with this Blessing and Protection, trying to go for some Cyclones. Roots up K. Gillen, not able to land the Cyclone. K. Gillen freedoming himself and line-of-sighting it. Beanslayer just going for clone after clone, getting interrupted there by Psycho, who's now trying to go for a clone of his own. Deep Freeze on the K. Gillen, Hodge into SSDS, 3v1. It's a 3v0 situation at the moment, actually. DR Maim onto Psycho, down to 30%. Comet Storm's going to connect. K. Gillen still has his trinket. He's desperately trying to sit through this. It's his last line of defense into a 1-second poly, into a full Frostjaw. SSDS poly, 3v1 situation, still onto Psycho. K. Gillen pops the Avenging Wrath, however, now finally leaving the CC and topping off Psycho.
You know, I like that trade. He basically traded Survival Instincts to keep his trinket. I think that that is a smart move. But there's the full trap that's going to land on Versace. Beanslayer on the back foot, going to use that Survival Instincts, dipping lower and lower. Save of the Light also going to proc. Kids attacking, getting very offensive onto this FMP. Versace finally getting out of CC. He's going to use that Avenging Wrath Aura Mastery and top Beanslayer off, no problem. Deep Freeze lands on the K. Gillen. The Hodge on the SSDS. The cross CC is real. K. Gillen going to just go ahead and trinket out of that full CC. And now Psycho is going to be A-okay because of that stop on that setup. But whoa, K. Gillen actually rebuking some of that CC. Versace caught in the Hodge at this point, but Beanslayer currently in a bop, just preventing a whole bunch of damage. But Psycho now in a lot of trouble, caught into the DR bash. He's going to trinket it. He's going to catch the bop, but it actually does get dispelled by Sam-I-Am very, very quickly, and Psycho's still in a bit of trouble here.
Yeah, the full poly on a K. Gillen. I think that's going to be the game. They just need a little bit more damage to follow up. The Ice Nova comes in. Saved by the Light procs. They're going to cut through it. Another polymorph on a K. Gillen. Beanslayer clones him up. Low HP. Looking to rotate the clone over. If he gets it, it's going to be the game. He gets interrupted on the clone, but there's the Deep Freeze follow-up on the K. Gillen. Psycho desperately trying to hang on. Down to 7%. K. Gillen gets the heal off. Aura Mastery gets popped. He's going to be able to save Psycho once again. He's going to have his bubble for the next setup, but they have to make something happen and make it happen quick. SSDS lands the full trap onto Versace. Beanslayer could be in trouble here. The Black Arrow gets tossed up onto him. Psycho trying to apply the pressure as well, down to 50% HP, but there's no more CC for Versace. He's going to be able to heal him up very easily. Now the full clone actually landed out by Psycho. The maim was a little bit too late there from Beanslayer. SSDS getting polyed though. Hodge onto Psycho. DR'd, which means he's not going to be able to get stun locked. K. Gillen into the Deep Freeze looking for that full polymorph. They land the full polymorph onto K. Gillen, but the Murder of Crows is going to be used onto Beanslayer. He's choosing to push in aggressively. The Murder of Crows not doing too much actually, just stabilized completely throughout all of it. Full trap, though, landed onto Versace. Now it might be a Trinket here. Beanslayer into the maim, down to 45% HP. He still has that Saved by the Light proc, trying to go for a clone. He's going to get bashed on that clone, down to 40% now. Versace into the Hodge. K. Gillen pops the Avenger out to keep him aggressive. Oh, he clones the execution sends out from Versace, but they need to have more CC for him. They're going to clone Beanslayer once again, but if they don't get any more CC, he's going to be able to easily top him off here. Still at 50%, but Beanslayer on the offensive pops the Incarnation, trying to take Psycho down very quickly right now. Polymorph onto K. Gillen, procking the Saved by the Light. He's going to use the Survival Instincts to tank the remaining amount of damage. K. Gillen finally leaving CC, topping off Psycho here. Both teams kind of equalizing. Versace, though, has a huge lead, still having his Trinket.
Whoa! Bubble coming out from Versace as Beanslayer's dipping lower and lower. Beanslayer defensively trying to get those Cyclones out to stop the damage. Saved by the Light's going to pop proc regardless. Versace just can't handle this damage. Survival Instincts is going to fade. The Crows is on Beanslayer, but now Sinkyo taking a bit of pressure from Beanslayer, swapping over onto them. Kilgillen's going to stop that Cyclone cast from Beanslayer with that Rebuke, just pushing in. Both these teams playing just so very aggressive. Beanslayer, though, he's in some trouble. The trap's going to land. Versace's going to Trinket right away. Beanslayer still at 45% health here. SSDS getting polymorphed over and over by Semiam, just stopping the momentum from Kids of Toxic. And there's a DR Cyclone going out into SSDS. He's just going to Trinket it immediately, just trying to stay offensive. Beanslayer looks like he's going to be A-okay. Semiam trinketing out of that Werven Sting. Beanslayer looks like he's going to be fine for now, but he has no Survival Instincts. And next CC on Versace may be huge. Sinkyo now might be in a bit of trouble as the polymorphs are landing. Both teams are just going ham on each other's Feral Druids. The CC on both healers. Beanslayer 18%. He's going to go down. In Scout's honor, they're going to lose the Kids of Toxic in round number 2, and it is a tied game. Crazy. Let's take a quick look at that replay, everybody. Just give me one hot minute here. Alright, taking a look at this replay, both of these Feral Druids just doing an immense amount of pressure on one another, and the CC chains never ended on both Holy Paladins, but it looks like Kids of Toxic are going to get the better end of that exchange, and they're going to take out Beanslayer.
You can see Clutter Monkey Pet on the score screen.
Really?
Yeah.
Clutter Monkey?
Are you still in the game?
Potentially. Let me check.
I saw the little monkey behind the score screen.
Oh, my bonkers that I named Clutter?
Yeah.
I love my bonkers.
Oh, it's not there anymore. It was there.
I see it. I see it. I see it. Yeah, I do. I have a monkey named Bonkers, and if you guys aren't familiar, Clutter's name is Clutter Monkey. I thought that was clever. I renamed my monkey pet Bonkers, or I renamed my monkey pet Clutter. There it is. Alright guys, let's get in communication with these teams and figure out what... Alright, the same composition is coming out. I believe Kids of Toxic will be running the same composition, and Beanslayer's team is going to go ahead and choose Tiger's Peak. Alright, that being said, let's just jump right into the action, guys. This will be game number 3 of this best of 5 series between Scout's Honor and Kids of Toxic 2.0. And here we go. Next map, Tiger's Peak. Welcome everybody to Tiger's Peak. Kids of Toxic 2.0 versus Scout's Honor here. It is a tied game between this FMP and this Jungle here in the semifinals of tournament number 17. So far, it has been a very exciting night, I must say. But yeah, just a reminder, guys, this is single elimination. So the teams that lose any series are completely eliminated from the tournament. So right away, everything's on the line here. And here we go. The gates are about to open in just 6 seconds.
And the winning team is guaranteed money no matter what, even if they lose the next series. So
True.
There's some money on the line in this game. Let's see which team wants it more and can perform better. SSDS taking to the center of the map once again with Sam IM, Beanslayer, and Psycho both in stealth. Beanslayer made the opportunistic move last game, and he is actually going to open with a pounce into a clone onto Kate Gillen. SSDS maybe not expecting to be the target. It's going to kite away with that Master's Call, line of sight some of the incoming icicle damage here. Down to 42% though. Kate Gillen into a full polymorph, bash onto Psycho, and they're just going to make a turnaround on his Psycho. An immense amount of damage coming out onto him. Down to 40, down to 30%. He doesn't have the Save by the Light beacon at the moment here. Kay Gillen actually going to trinket and top him off with the Avenging Wrath execution sentence. Beanslayer's Cyclones and a little bit of a weird opener is actually going to pay off, getting a lot of cooldowns out from Kids of Toxic.
So many cooldowns, man, but now they want to get offensive. Incarnation coming out. Beanslayer just going to catch that bop, but it's overlapped with the Survival Instinct. He's going to get cloned up on it, but that opener for Scout's Honor was so very strong, but is it strong enough? Out of that, Beanslayer coming out of that Cyclone. He's going to take that bop off, but now he's taking a whole bunch of damage, and Versace was caught into that trap, and Saved by the Light is going to proc it, and that's going to force the Wings execution sentence out now for Scout's Honor. Now as the Deep Freeze is going to land on the K. Gillen. Nothing to follow it up just yet, but Psycho's taking so much damage. Also going to proc that Save by the Light. And a full Cyclone's going to land on a Kid Gillen. It's going to force the bubble out already for Kids of Toxic 2.0. And Scout's Honor is looking so very strong here in game number 3.
Yeah, Beanslayer, though, down to 40%, going for a clone. Versace has the Avenging Wrath up. He pops the Ore Master to get some heals onto Beanslayer here. He does manage to bring him back up to 80% health here. Ore Mastery fading. Sam I am spamming out the defensive polymorphs, looking for a play here. Blinks in for the Deep Freeze. He's going to land the full polymorph. Beanslayer caught into a bash. Psycho looking for a clone. He does get counterspelled by Sam I am, denying that. And now Psycho under fire is going to have to trinket, pop the Survival Instincts, trying to stampede away in bear form and take out some of this damage, interrupting Beanslayer's Cyclone. In the meantime, Kay Gillen going to Ore Mastery out of the Frostjaw to top off Psycho. Psycho now going for a Cyclone here. Gets Typhooned, though, by Beanslayer. The Murder of Crows is up on the Beanslayer. Versace sitting through that full Hodge, choosing to not pop the Crows off immediately this time, topping him off with just Execution Sentence. SSDS getting cloned by Beanslayer. Beanslayer looking to rotate that clone over. He wasn't able to, however. Deep Freeze now into Kay Gillen. A 3v0 situation on his Psycho. Finally leaving the bash here down to 40% HP. He could just go down. Saved by the Light procs. Denounces are flying in from Versace. Semi-M actually getting Wyvern Stung here. He's not getting dispelled. Dispelled a little bit too late. It might not matter, though. Psycho going down. And Scout's Honor taking a decisive victory on Tiger's Peak and are one game away from securing their spot in the finals.
Yeah, they are only one game away, but man, Kids of Toxic, I don't know, that was a rough game for this team. I hope that they can keep it together going into game number 4, but Scout's Honor, man, just looks so dominant this time, just forcing all of the defensive cooldowns just so very well, and just really just stopping the momentum from the CC from Kids of Toxic completely. But there we go. Scout's Honor is going to take another game here in the semifinals of tournament number 17, and I'm going to go ahead and get in communication here. Let me show you guys the score screen real quick, because I know that it's something that you guys like to take into consideration. Kid Gillen took 41 seconds of CC that game, which is quite significant when you're looking at how long that game actually lasted. Alright guys, I will get in contact with these teams. Looks like Scout's Honor is going to be playing the same composition, so all I need now at this point is the map, and right away Bubble SSD on the ball with that. He's going to go ahead and choose, the risky map. He's going to bring the next map to Ruins of Lordaeron.
What do you do when you're one game and about to lose? Risk it all.
Risk it all, that's right, buddy. Welcome, everybody. What's going on here? To Ruins of Lordaeron, a much smaller map chosen by Team Kids of Toxic, the jungle. I do think that a smaller map might give them an advantage, but Ruins of Lordaeron has been known to bite teams in the butt because man. It's a small map, and there's nowhere to hide. These healers have no place to go, so either team have the opportunity to really just put the CC chain on each other. But here we go. The gates are about to open in just 5 seconds between this jungle and this FMP in game number 4. Butt teams in the bite. Yeah, that one. Alright, here we go. Sam I am already coming out with the icicles once again, teeing off against SSDS. SSDS looking at that pet again, but you know, that's something to note is that when you're killing that pet, there's no beacon of light on it. But the Hodge is going to land onto Versace. Beanslayer taking a bit of pressure. Kids of Toxic want to get offensive here. Incarnation coming out. Beanslayer dipping down to 50% health. Your Hand of Sacrifice is going to land. It's not going to be dispelled just yet, and it's going to soak a whole bunch of damage from this Incarnation. SSDS caught in that DR stun. K. Gillen caught in all of these polymorphs, and Sinkyo is in need of heals. The Execution Sentence, Avenging Wrath coming out from K. Gillen, just topping a lot, but now Beanslayer in a bit of trouble. Hand of Sacrifice coming out as well. Saber the Light also procking. Versace does have his wings available, so it's going to top Bean off all right, but the Hodge is going to land on the Versace. Beanslayer needs to be careful here. Nothing to follow up the Hodge on the Versace just yet, but the Frost Shot is going to land on K. Gillen. Sinkyo dipping low. He's going to catch the bop, and K. Gillen forced to use that bubble, but the bubble can't heal anyone inside of a Cyclone. The offensive Cyclone's coming up from Beanslayer, preventing all the heals onto Sinkyo. Sinkyo Saber the Light's going to fade. Survival Instinct's coming out. K. Gillen forced to use the War Mastery, but he's going to get deeped up on that cast. Beanslayer now caught in the bash. The full trap's going to land on the Versace. The Wyvern Sting on the Samayam. It's going to get offensively blocked. Both of these teams playing so offensive. Versace now forced to use the bubble to keep Beanslayer up. Heart of the Wild coming out from Beanslayer, trying to give him a little bit of that extra healing. Now Sinkyo caught into that full Cyclone at 67% health here, trying to prevent as much healing as humanly possible. The Hodge is going to land, but it's going to get dispelled by K. Gillen very fast, and both of these teams are just relentless on each other.
Yeah, Versace still has his trinket, though, which is a huge advantage as K. Gillen goes into a full polymorph. Beanslayer going for the re-stealth, trying to get a clone here, trying to fake cast. He's going to interrupt Psycho's clone, now going for a clone of his own. He's going to get Maim stunned on it. Versace spamming denounces, though, with the Avenging Wrath, participating as almost as a DPS. Psycho down to 30%. They're going to bop Beanslayer there, remove the Murder of Crows, and keep his team offensive. K. Gillen with nothing left. Beanslayer getting cloned for the time being. SSD is getting polyed. The Frostjaw going to land onto K. Gillen. Beanslayer trying to get a clone. Psycho Typhoons him back. Has no way to interrupt, though. The bash comes in a little bit too late. K. Gillen into the clone, but a trap onto Versace. Both teams getting pushed to the edge here. Full polymorph onto K. Gillen now. Wyvern Sting onto Versace. Beanslayer doesn't have the time to dispel it. He's going to put a bash onto Psycho. Psycho going for a clone now, but he's going to get cloned himself before he can get it. Counterspell used onto the Cyclone out from Psycho. Deep Freeze, though, onto K. Gillen. Both Feral Druids in a bit of trouble here. Versace, though, not in any CC, trying to top him off. Avenging Wrath going to get cloned up immediately by Beanslayer. Psycho overextending a tremendous amount at the moment. He's going to have to use the Survival Instincts to reduce the damage coming in here. Sacrifice used as well. A Hodge onto Versace. They land the full trap now. Murder of Crows available in 5 seconds. Beanslayer could be in some trouble. No Survival Instincts. He's going into bear form to try and reduce some damage here. His last Survival Instincts actually fading there. Still down to 50%. Versace trying to pick him up here. He doesn't have any big healing. But in the meantime, Psycho into the Maim down to 40%. K. Gillen into a Frostjaw down to 48%. Beanslayer looking to try and get a clone here. Wyvern Sting onto Sam. He's going to trinket that. Deep Freeze onto K. Gillen. The Frozen Orb comes out. Lots of Ice Lance damage coming in here shortly. Sam I am going for a poly defensively onto SSDS. He's going to get cloned out on his Icy Veins, though, by Psycho, choosing to actually block out of that. He has one more block left, but Psycho in a lot of trouble here. Saved by the Light's going to proc. Full poly onto K. Gillen. He trinkets into another poly. Hodge onto Psycho. Comet Storm comes in. He's going to pop the Incarnation in desperation to take out Beanslayer with a trap onto Versace. They're going through the Saved by the Light down to 30%. Hodge onto Versace. He trinkets that immediately to top off Beanslayer, realizing that was the last-ditch effort from Kids of Toxic and completely denying it.
Oh my goodness, Scout's Honor looks so good, but at the same time, Kids of Toxic just forced so much out of them. The bop, the bubble, the execution sentence, it's all down right now. And both of these teams are just on the verge of losing or potentially winning. Psycho now still taking a bit of damage. The Deep Freeze going to land on a K. Gillen into the full polymorph. SSDS caught into that Hodge, the cross CC. Psycho, though, doing a great job just trying to line of sight as best he can, but Beanslayer is finally going to connect. Psycho in that bear form, just trying to prevent as much damage as possible. Versace now caught into that full trap. Beanslayer has the crows on him. He's taking the damage. The DR Hodge onto Versace into the full clone. This could be it for Beanslayer. Beanslayer's got nothing left in the tank.
No!
He's gonna go down. And Kids of Toxic, they're gonna bring it out here in Ruins of Lordaeron, tying it up 2-2. Unbelievable game coming out from these teams. Scout's Honor was just so offensive. The bops came out as soon as the crows came out every time from Versace, just stopping the momentum completely. But Kids of Toxic found a way and landed the CC, and they took game number 4 here in tournament number 17. Taking a quick look at that replay, it was just relentless. Kids of Toxic, Sinkyo was just defensive, just trying to stop as much damage as possible, and out of nowhere a trap lands, and the CC chain never ends, and Beanslayer, he's just out in the open on a map like Ruins of Lordaeron. He's gonna go down, and we are at match point here. in the semifinals of tournament number 17 between Kids of Toxic and Scouts Honor. Holy crow, man. Unbelievable. That wasn't even...
Crows that last game. That was crows.
There's
Holy
crows.
Crows is completely fine. You can say that.
All right, Kids of Toxic will be playing... looks like they're going to play the same composition, and I believe Scouts Honor is going to go ahead and request up Tolvaron. Is that correct?
It's one of the... Yeah, there's only Tolvaron and Blades left. I don't think anyone wants to go to Blades right now.
Not with the double feral dream, man. That could go either way, huh? All right, guys, here we go. We're going to jump into the last map of this best-of-5 series in the semifinals of tournament number 17, and it will be played out on Tolvaron Arena.
Is the other team in the game?
I don't see it. I'm going to slash reload. I don't see the other team. Can you get in contact with these teams and see if they're in here?
Who's not in?
We don't
Slayer. We need BSX.
Scouts Honor. I don't think they joined. If they did, this is going to be a hard game to cast. I'm not leaving. I refuse to leave.
They're invisible. They found a new item.
Oh, next level! Oh.
They're actually just invisible to everyone. Even each other. They can't see each other.
Oh, man. OP. Alright, the gates are about to open here in game number 3. And, oh! Just kidding.
Oh, man. Kids of Toxic 2.0 taking it.
Taking it against their imaginary opponents. Oh, dude. Alright, let's try this again, guys. Let's jump into Tolvaron Arena. The war game request has been sent out here. Let's try this again. Hold on. Just a second. I have been catching up on the VODs for the tournament VODs as well, guys, on my YouTube channel. So if you guys do want to subscribe to that YouTube channel, youtube.com/dmachine52, to catch all of the VODs, that is going to be available to you guys. Usually I upload the VODs from the tournament every Monday from the past weekend. So like tournament number 17 is going to be uploaded this coming Monday. If that makes any sense. But also something to note, guys, if you want to come back, if you want to come and compete for a GCD TV tournament, make sure to come back to this Twitch channel and check the information below for that sign-up link. It's going to be found in the information below. And make sure to get familiar with the website, battlefy.com. All of our future tournaments will be hosted on that website. It's a fantastic website, so definitely register there today. Yeah. But here we go, the game's about to start here. Match point between Kids of Toxic and Scouts Honor. The Jungle versus the FMP, the battle of the feral compositions. Here we go, the gates have opened.
Yep, the final match between these two teams. Both feral druids on their last legs. They have 9 lives. In this case, it's only going to be 1, though. Beanslayer and Psycho not able to find each other in stealth just yet, and they don't want to give the opener to each other, but they are dancing fairly close to each other. Beanslayer going to retreat for the time being, dodging that flare out by SSDS narrowly. Sam-I-Am, though, has full icicles. He's ready to go as soon as Beanslayer finds a target here. Psycho hanging back pretty far. Killigan just preemptively keeping his hunter topped off, actually using a lot of mana. I don't think mana is going to be an issue in this game at all, though. It's going to be a pretty quick game. Beanslayer looking like he wants to open onto SSDS. He's like, come a little bit closer. I want to kill you.
He absolutely does, man. Oh, did he flare him out? Oh, the Ferals found each other, it would seem. Beanslayer getting onto Psycheo. The Roar Sacrifice being used right away onto Psycheo. The Hodge onto SSDS. The full polymorph onto K. Gillen. Psycheo is alone at the moment. Is the Roar Sacrifice gonna be enough? The Werven's gonna land on a Sam-I-Am. He's gonna trinket right out of it, just trying to stay offensive as soon as possible. K. Gillen caught into the triple DR polymorph into the Frostjaw. Psycheo still take a bit of pressure. The full polymorph gonna land on SSDS. The Cyclone onto K. Gillen. Psycheo still in a 3 3v1 situation. The Save by the Light's going to proc. It's going to force that Avenging Wrath and the Execution Sentence onto him. Beanslayer using that Incarnation, just playing so offensive on the Psycho, and it's working quite well so far. Versace using his wings as well, making sure to keep Beanslayer as offensive as possible.
Yeah, K. Gillen, though, into a full Polymorph. Psycho getting locked out on his Cyclone. Down to 50% here shortly. Versace with the Avenging Wrath, keeping his team completely offensive. Even trying to go for some denounces. Psycho desperately trying to line aside. Clone onto K. Gillen. Poly onto SSDS. He's going to trick it out of that. K. Gillen has to bubble down to 5%. And that bubble is not going to be enough to keep him alive. And Scout's Honor taking a game here very quickly on Tolvaron Arena. And they're going to secure their spot in the Grand Finals to face off against Proxy.net.
Man, Scout's Honor, they found their momentum and they nailed it. They must be feeling very good as that convincing win is going to finish the series here in the semifinals. They're going to go ahead and win 3-2 against Kids of Toxic, but I have to take a moment to shout out Kids of Toxic. They have played phenomenally here in the semifinals of tournament number 17. I hope to see these guys come back and compete again, as they done very, very well. But Scout's Honor, they are going to the finals. Scout's Honor is going to the finals, everybody. BSX, BSX.